The Ferraris are disqualified from the Chinese Grand Prix, both of them for two separate issues. Pierre Gasly was also disqualified, but he wasn't in the points to begin with, I don't believe. But anyway, so we'll start with Lewis Hamilton because Leclerc, he was, it was a weight, uh, weight breach. Now, Hamilton was disqualified for a skid block breach. So for those who don't know, the skid block, it's underneath the car. And if it's too close to the ground, it's going to get hit, it's going to get damaged. The officials look at that. If it's too damaged, they are disqualified. And looking through here. Okay, so after the race, a technical delegate's report stated when the skid wear of Hamilton's car was checked following the Grand Prix, the rearmost skid was found to be below the minimum 9 millimeter thickness required, meaning that the matter was referred to the stewards. Hamilton and a team representative were subsequently required to report to the stewards, and after the hearing took place, it was announced that the Brit had been disqualified from Sunday's race. So that is essentially what it was. The skid was too damaged, too far to not make the minimum 9 millimeter required thickness of that skid. It had been hitting the ground enough to wear it all the way down. And that is essentially what ended up happening. Now, Charles Leclerc and Pierre Gasly, both of them have were summoned by the stewards over alleged breaches of Article 4.1 of the technical regulations, a section relating to the car's weight. In a report from the FIA F1 technical delegate Joe Bauer, it was revealed that Leclerc's car weight, was exactly 800 kilograms. Weighed exactly 800 kilograms after he returned to the pit, the minimum weight required under the aforementioned regulations. Given that his front wing was damaged in the early contact with his teammate Lewis, Leclerc's car was reweighed with the retrieved end plate after the official spare wing, increasing the weight to 800.5 kilograms. When the fuel was drained from the car with just 2 liters removed, as per draining procedure, the Ferrari's weight dropped to a weight of 799 kilograms, just below the minimum requirement. So he missed it by a kilogram. Wow. So they threw it on there. It with a new wing, and it was 800.5 with the new wing. And then they drained the car of fuel as per the rules, and it dropped to 799, below the minimum requirement. Oh my. Oh my. And then Gasly's car also came to 800 kilograms in the initial weight check, but only after a fuel mass check to be carried out. 1.1 kilograms of fuel removed, as again per the rules, bringing it down to 799. So both cars are disqualified. So Lewis and Charles both DQ'd what was going to be a nice bag of points is now 0. And that puts Ferrari at a total of still at a total of 17 points. A and they are a good distance back of McLaren with 78, Mercedes with 57, Red Bull 36. And that actually ties Ferrari with right now in the point standings with the Williams. The Williams and the Ferrari are even on points. They are level. They are tied at 17 points apart. And breathing down their neck is the Haas Ferrari team. Well, that's that is interesting. And then you got then you have Aston Martin with 10, Pick with 6, the Racing Bulls with 3, and then Alpine still sitting on a goose egg. And given the way that it's been going for Alpine, that's probably not going to change. Now, the race itself, with the updated standings now that we've had 3 drivers disqualified from the race. Obviously, the top 4 stays the same: Oscar, Lando, George, and Max. Which I'm going to talk about the McLarens here in a second. But we got Oscar, Lando, George, and Max. Esteban Ocon improves to 5th. Kimi Antonelli, the rookie, still dazzling, improves to 6th. Alex Albon improves to 7th. Oliver Behrman goes from 10th to 8th. Big double point stay by Haas. Lance Stroll, the lone Aston Martin after Alonso's issues. He comes home 9th. And then Carlos Sainz, rounding out the double points day for Williams. That upset my tummy. Rounding out the double points day for Williams, and then Isaac Hadjar and Liam Lawson, they come home 11th and 12th, and then Jet doing the last car on the lead lap in 13th. And then Bortatello, Hulkenberg, and Yuki Tsunoda rounding out the running cars. Needed that so badly. All right. So, the McLarens. Good for the team. To a degree. Because eventually, if they keep going back and forth, and they come into a situation where you have to call for team orders, the question now becomes, are they going to do it? Because these two could very well be fighting for a championship. It's no longer about it's no longer about the constructors title anymore. That's locked up. But can Oscar run consistent enough to continue to be a championship contender? And is it going to be enough for McLaren to just say, all right, screw it, have at it, boys? Because you have to remember, Lando he's in championship prime condition right now. And this is probably his shot because once Oscar takes over, it's over for Lando at McLaren. He's not getting the preferential treatment, which is the danger about having two talented drivers like this. And we're going to see in the very near future, I suspect, of how McLaren's going to handle this. They have not handled it well in the past, even when it was an obvious one, driver two situation. And now we are quickly approaching driver one and driver 1A. I mean, Oscar is 10 points behind. Oscar would be leading the points had he not slid off in Australia. He would be leading the points. If everything else stayed the same, he'd be leading the points right now had he not slid off in Australia. I mean, it is it is a developing situation, and I do predict that this is going to get in the way eventually in the season. Excuse me. Should Lando and Oscar continue to trade blows. And eventually, one of those blows is going to land in the very wrong way and either take one, the other, or both out of a Grand Prix. We've seen it before, where we will undoubtedly see it again. And quite frankly, they don't have the cushion right now to be trying to pull that off. To be playing these games. Because it only takes one race, and all of a sudden, Max and George are 1-2, and you have Lando and Oscar at 3 and 4, potentially 3 and 5. So it is a very, very this could potentially be a very, very uneasy situation for the McLaren, even though they are the cream of the crop right now, and it's quite frankly not even close. Max and Red Bull, they will be coming. They're slowly beginning to figure the car out. Mercedes have been flawless for what they've got, and they're only going to improve. And although Ferrari was disqualified, both drivers, they will be coming. They will get it figured out, and they will be coming. And so, this potential issue down the road, it could have massive, massive consequences should they not have it all put together. Now, I know I may be overreacting by this at this current point in time, but eventually it's going to happen. And we'll see how McLaren handles it. Last year, they did not handle it very well, especially at Hungary. So, we'll see how it goes. Now, Kimi, we'll go straight to Kimi Antonelli. A massive, massive day for the rookie. One of two rookies that have been dazzling so far. And the other one is not in the Red Bull. And the other one is definitely not in the Red Bull. I mean, both Kimi and Ollie Behrman, have been very good this weekend. I believe Kimi scored points in the sprint race too. Yeah, Kimi scored points in the sprint too. I mean, once he really gets comfortable, it could very well be game on with Kimi and with Mercedes. We could see that late season push once Kimi really gets comfortable and really just is able to understand everything that's going on and really protect his tires like he did today. Today was a huge day for Kimi. He only needed that one stop, and that is a testament to how well he takes care of his tires. Ollie, Ollie Behrman, he's in the same. I think he's in the same camp. I think he only took. I think he only took one. Oh, I think he only stopped once as well, which is which that really shows a testament to how well he has been able to take care of himself and his tires. As I am trying to pull up the data here. All right. So, the Ocon and yeah. And not only that, Behrman, he was able to make the medium tires the long stint. So, to compound the impressiveness of Oliver Behrman taking care of his tires, he made the long stint on the mediums, which is actually incredible. And then you had Lewis that stopped twice. The RB Red Bulls stopped, well, scheduled twice. Uh Yuki ended up stopping a third time. And then you had Liam Lawson stopping a second time. Um and then tumble down the order to Liam Lawson here. Uh this is an abject disaster. Absolute abject disaster. Uh he's got to start doing something. The quality effort has been horrific, leading to horrific races. We are 0 for 3 now in Liam making it to Q3 or Q2 in a Red Bull. He has been passed on track in on fresher hards by a Haas. I mean, this could very well be the biggest whiff Red Bull has ever had. Uh, I had such high hopes for Liam. I trusted Christian Horner. I trusted Helmut Marko. And that's seeming like a massive, massive mistake. Yuki, he was in line for points until he started having some issues with the tires. I don't remember them saying exactly what kind of issues they had on the broadcast. He had on the broadcast. But if you're Christian, you've got to be seeing the qualifying effort from Yuki and Isaac and being like, oh, we messed up. We messed up big time. Now, I do have to question though how, because it's really hard to gauge in how bad a Red Bull is right now because Max is that damn good. So you have to question how much of it is Liam, but how much of it is also the Red Bull. And I don't think it is, and I don't think it is 70 almost 70-second difference. I mean, it's absolutely horrific. All the pressure in the F1 world right now is on Liam Lawson. And it's even he has to come home with points in Japan, or oh my god, it is going to become unglued, and rightfully so. You cannot start this bad. You are forever tied to Kimi Antonelli because you're both making your debuts in the big cars on this at the same time. Kimmy's out here scoring points. Kimmy's out here making it to Q3. Kimmy is actually finishing these races in style. He's coming home with points each and every single time. Uh, Liam hasn't come close to sniffing points at home. Liam scored points in every single race he's ran. His worst finish is 6th. Liam is coming in at the back of the field, start on the pit lane twice out of 2 races. I believe he started on the pit lane in Australia as well. Yes, he did. That is something that cannot be happening. Not as often as it has, and it's only been 2 races. He has been outrun, outqualified, not just by Max. That was to be expected. But he's being outqualified by Isaac Hadjar, who has far less racing experience and far lesser equipment. The most direct comparison you have outside of Liam and Kimmy is Liam and Isaac. They're in the same camp. And Isaac's running circles around him. Yuki is running circles around him. I would expect if this continues, they have to move to Yuki. They have to give Yuki the ball. Give Yuki the seat. He has earned a shot. Should this trend with Liam Lawson continues. I mean, if Liam's backing up the field again, at the back end of the field again in Japan, if he's running in this 20th to 15th range again in Japan, you gotta make the switch. You have to. And that doesn't mean abandon Liam. Kick him to the curb like you did with Pierre. That just means you brought him up too quick and you're correcting an error. It's that simple. Correct the error, bring Yuki up, send Liam back down to the Racing Bulls, and let him learn a little bit more. Now, if Yuki begins to struggle, we now know it is the Red Bulls that suck. For sure. And Max is just has an unbelievable talent that we have never seen before. So, but I will say what was very troubling to me as a fan of Red Bull was seeing, and this isn't a knock at Ollie, but seeing Ollie pass Liam on the track and then drive away. A Haas should never be able to pass a Red Bull and then drive away. Unless there's extreme circumstances, and that was an extreme circumstance. I mean, it was an absolute disastrous for Lawson. Jack Doohan did not have much of a better day. He had a 10-second penalty, which turns out it would have nearly got him into the points. It would have got him 11th after all the rough days that he's had, the rough times that he's had, especially in with getting bumped around by, I believe it was Liam in the sprint race. And then he got into Hulkenberg, or no, Bortoletto. I can't remember. Can't remember off the top of my head. But Jack Doohan got a 10-second penalty, unnecessary contact, which shot him 2 spots down the order. And then you have the lap down cars. Fernando Alonso, he had his engine went. And then obviously, 3 that we talked about earlier, disqualified from the race. We've already talked about the team standings as it sits. Obviously, McLaren, Mercedes, Red Bull, Williams, Ferrari, Haas, Aston Martin, Sauber, the Racing Bulls, and then Alpine remains scoreless. The Drivers' Championship, you have Lando at 44, Max at 36, Russell at 35, Oscar Piastri at 34, Kimi at 22, Esteban Ocon at 10, Lance Stroll at 10, Lewis Hamilton at 9, Charles Leclerc at 8, Nico 6, Ali at 4, Yuki 3, and Carlos Sainz with 1. And then the pointless crew, you have Isaac Hadjar, Pierre Gasly, Liam Lawson, Jack Doohan, and Gabriel Bortoletto. But yeah, so my big question to end this all with is how long would you give Liam Lawson before pulling the plug on this? You have Yuki there. He's qualifying well. He's running well mostly. I would see how this goes in Japan. And then I would see how it goes in Bahrain. And then go from there. Taking a look at the... Oh, give me the full schedule. So I would go through with the with Japan, and then Bahrain and Saudi, and then evaluate from there. We'll go 5 rounds. If Liam doesn't show improvement, you got to make the switch. You have to make the switch to Yuki. Acknowledge you messed up. Acknowledge that you brought up Liam too quickly and he needs more time at the RBs. And we'll go from there. So, 5 races would be my cutoff to see if there's any sort of improvement. If we don't see improvement, I think for Miami, we might see the debut of Yuki Tsunoda in the Red Bull. because clock's ticking, and all the pressure now in Japan is going to be on Max. Keep up with the McLarens. All the pressure is going to be on Max. And if he's not careful, George Russell may just sneak his way up to the top step of the podium. George has showed great speed, and he's got a good number 2 driver to really help with the and really put the fight to McLaren on the constructor's side. And once Kimmy gets things figured out, that is going to be another issue for Max to have to deal with. And this only is going to get worse for Max. And Zach Brown may not be wrong as far as Max wanting to leave Red Bull. I think he's completely wrong with wanting to go to Mercedes. I think there's some deep-seated issues with Max, because to my understanding, Mercedes passed on Max. I could be completely wrong, but Max hasn't forgotten that. Now I could very well see Max putting his faith in Adrian Newey and going to Aston Martin, as long as he's replacing Lance Stroll and not Fernando Alonso. I could see that. But we'll see. We will certainly see. Because if this trend continues with Red Bull, Max is going to be going. He's going. He's not going to stick around for a few years to see if Red Bull figures it out and see if they correct the issues that Checo was screaming about 2 years ago. It's going to go. It's incredible to me about the laziness of Red Bull. Of you have a driver saying, "Hey, there is something wrong here. We need to fix it," while Max is off winning, and the team is just like, "Yeah, it's probably fine. It's fine. We're winning. We don't need to worry about that." I find that shocking. I find that appalling, and I find it disgusting. For a team to be doing that, because now you're getting even worse results in Liam Lawson than you were with Checo. So, oh goodness, we'll see how it all plays out in 2 weeks in the Japanese Grand Prix. Until next time, I'm Patriot Dylan. We'll see if I stream on YouTube, but I might just be streaming on Twitch. That seems to be working better with my systems. Patriot Dylan is the name on Twitch too, so very, very, very easy to find. So just keep an eye out for that. Make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the notification bell so you don't miss anything. And we'll see you in the next one.